Okay, so now we're going to talk about your content calendar. Something that's optional, but is something that I think you should do. Why I think you should do it is essentially because what we're trying to do through the entire process of this course is make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed at any point. Make sure that this is a fun exercise for you. And as your podcast is growing, at no point are you essentially either out of ideas or you're feeling a time crunch. And the best way to do that is by utilizing a content calendar. So what is a content calendar? It's fairly self-explanatory. What you essentially need to do is you need to plan your episodes for 2 months in advance. All right. And what you need to do over here is you need to introspect a little bit and you need to understand what your process is. So if you've got a research driven podcast where you require a certain amount of time to first research, then you need to record and then you do post production, editing, etc. Then you can spread this out across 3 days. So you can do it on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday, or a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Friday. And you need to fit it into your current schedule so that it's not impinging on anything else that you're otherwise doing. If you're somebody who is creating episodes that are more on the fly and you can do everything in the course of a day itself, then you just need to block out a day. So what you should do here is you need to use a tool like Notion. I highly recommend it. I absolutely love Notion. And go to the template section of Notion. In the template section of Notion, they have the option of you choosing a content calendar and just start to fill out that content calendar. All right. And I'll just tell you about how to fill out that content calendar. The second key thing that you need to do is you need to put alerts for yourself. So to make sure that you're constantly being reminded of when certain important days are coming up, say your recording days or say your editing days, etc., etc. If they're on the same day, then just your podcast creation day. So you have to have a calendar set up and you have to have alerts so that you're constantly being reminded of this. What's really interesting is if you have co-hosts that you do this show along with, you can add them to that calendar. You can use any tool of your preference. I like Notion, but you can use something as simple as your Google Calendar. You can even use Google Sheets that you share with your potential co-host. And what you need to do here is nothing too complex. You have to just state the potential titles for the shows that you're going to be taking out, the episodes that you're going to be taking out over the course of the next 2 months. So nothing more than that, just the episode titles. Now, why the episode titles? Is because on the one hand, subconsciously, you'll already start to think about the episodes in themselves. And you start to formulate them. You start to think about whether you need to get a certain type of guest on board or if it's a solo podcast, what the entire script is going to be, etc., etc. So it creates a little bit of a mind map for yourself. And the second major reason is that when it comes to podcasting, I think one of the most important metrics is making sure that you have repeat listenership. Where if you've got somebody that's coming on your first episode, you want that same person coming and listening on your second and your third, and that's essentially how you start to build in a geometric way rather than in an arithmetic way. So how you do this is at the end of every one of your episodes, now that you have the titles for your forthcoming episodes, you can tease people about what the next episode is going to be about. So you can give a little bit of a hint or a little bit of a sort of window into what you're looking to think about and what you're looking to talk about in your next episode. And the broad structure that you have around it. It's okay if it's amorphous because you want to make it seem a little cloak and daggerish. And that's pretty much what you need to do vis-a-vis your calendar. So it's fulfilling two criteria here. One is it's creating order out of chaos for yourself so that you know what your next 2 months are going to be looking like. But on the second hand, it's also creating listener retention because by telling listeners what your next episode is going to be about and when it's going to be released, there's an expectation that they will have. And if the topic sounds interesting, then automatically you already have captured their attention, and you have nabbed that listener to come back for a forthcoming week. And hopefully over time, essentially it becomes a habit for them. And by you creating a content calendar yourself, hopefully over time this just starts to become second nature for you, and it starts to become a habit for you, where you won't need to even need to look at Notion, or you won't even need to look at Google Calendar, you won't even need to look at Google Sheets. You will just know the days that are important for you, and you will automatically begin to follow them. That's the goal. That's where we need to get to in this. So thank you so much.